It is going to be short and sweet, but actionable, something that you can actually do in your life to make a difference, to move the needle. And it's simple. And it doesn't take a lot of time, but it's very intentional, and it'll help be the catalyst to your growth. Welcome to the Permission Slip podcast, where I, empowerment coach, mindset expert, and holistic nutritionist Carmen share with you the tools, conversations, and resources you need to write your own permission slip, take massive action, and become obsessed with your own life. Let's get started. Welcome to the Permission Slip podcast. Welcome. Okay, it is well into January now, and I can still feel the energy. Oftentimes, I think that we go too hot, too heavy, too hard, too fast, too soon, which, anything too fast, too soon, too much, it kind of causes like mini trauma to us, right? Even if it's quote unquote positive things. But often we do that and then we lose steam and then we just wait for next year. Okay, maybe not wait for next year, but you get what I'm saying. We kind of give up. But this year has been a steady, easeful, yet fierceful focus on where I want to go. And I hope you can feel that too. The energy, I can really feel it in the collective. And I was sitting down and reviewing the intuitive planning and strategy session that I did with myself that I taught back in December to all of you. If you watched that masterclass, Manifesting Your Dreams and Goals with Ease, which if you didn't watch it, I have that free for you and all the tools and resources and worksheets that you need to go back and do that process for yourself, because you don't have to wait for the end of the year or the new year to do it. You can do it anytime. That link is in the show notes, or you can just DM me and I will just DM me the word 2023 and I will shoot you the link over. Anyway, I was sitting back and I was looking at that, and part of it was reflecting on what really worked, what didn't work, what I was excited about, what lessons I learned, and all of that. And 4 really, really specific themes came through to me that I knew that if I focused on these themes as a priority, they would continue to transform me and my life and my business and my health and my relationships and more. So that's what we're doing on the podcast over the next 4 weeks. It is going to be short and sweet, but actionable, something that you can actually do in your life to make a difference, to move the needle. And it's simple. And it doesn't take a lot of time, but it's very intentional. And it'll help be the catalyst to your growth. Okay, so here we go on to part 2. Now, this episode is going to be just a little bit shorter, but so impactful. So let me just rip off the Band-Aid now and share with you what the second thing is that you can really focus on to transform your life this year. And that's being bold and taking up space. Now, this was an intention that I set for myself and I shared in our community, the Permission Slip community, which if you're interested in joining, it's totally free. The link is in the show notes. But we set this last year in 2022 because I kept getting this guidance. Carmen, you need to speak up. You need to use your voice. You need to be seen. And I was like, dang, I think that I already am. But when it really comes down to it, often we're just hiding in plain sight. Inside of us as women, we all want to be seen. We all want to be recognized. We all want to use our unique gifts that we have, even if we don't exactly know what they are or haven't uncovered them yet. We want to use them to make an impact in the world. Yet, because of our conditioning, because of our ego self, we hold ourselves back from being seen. It's like we're hiding in plain sight. It's like we have something inside of us to share, but we're just not speaking up. We're not raising our hand. We're not voicing our opinion. We're not asking for what we need. We're not connecting deeply and vulnerably. We're staying at surface level because we're scared of what other people might think. So in 2023, let's all make a commitment to be bold and take up space, which really means to be seen, to use your voice, and authentically show up and shine and share. So I know in 2022, with this intention in mind, I did something I had never done before. I did a podcast tour with this podcast, which you were able to hear those live podcast recordings. And many of you actually come in person. And it was so wonderful. It was an opportunity to connect people who were like-minded in a community, so that when I left that community, because it was in places that I didn't even live. It was in Oregon. It was in Phoenix. It was in these places in Colorado, in these places that I wanted so badly those women to come together and not only have an amazing experience and a transformation and a breakthrough at the podcast tour event itself, but connect with a new like-minded woman and keep that connection going, so that they could be the accountability and the support and the challenger and the expander for each other to be able to be bold and take up space and be seen. So how are you going to be seen in 2023? If it's something that you're a little uncomfortable with, which, by the way, being seen and speaking up and using your voice and speaking authentically is scary. And I'm a speaker. That still comes up for me. Sometimes it still comes up for me when I'm like, should I raise my hand and ask a question? Should I be the one to stand up at an event and share a breakthrough? But why not? Who are you not to be? Who are you to not shine? And who are you to not share? Because you never know who you're inspiring. And the thing is the greatest disservice that you can do is to not show up and genuinely and authentically use the gifts that God has given you. Now, I'm in the process of reading this book, The Good Life, and it's really interesting. It's based on the Harvard study that's back to like 1938 that's studying human health. That's not about like preventing health risks. It's about like how people thrive and what they do to actually thrive. So I want to read this page for you, and it's really interesting. And this is the whole idea of like hiding in plain sight. Because inherently, we're not really good as humans with our conditioning as we get older, with that ego self, that fear-based self, those limiting beliefs that we've built up. We're not really good about actually knowing what we want or need. So let me read this to you and see if you can see yourself in this story. I know when I read it, I could, and we're going to set an intention around this after I share this with you. So imagine you're on a train. Strangers are seated all around you. You'd like to have the most pleasant possible train ride, and you have a choice: talk to a stranger or keep to yourself. Which do you choose? So right now, answer that. Which do you choose? Well, we know what most of us do. We keep to ourselves. Who wants to deal with a random stranger anyway? They'll probably talk our ear off. Also, we want to get some work done or just enjoy music or a podcast, or we have something more on our to-do list that we could tackle during this time. We want to be efficient, right? So researchers from the University of Chicago actually turned a local train into an experiment. They asked commuters to predict which of two scenarios, talking to a stranger or minding your own business, would make for a more positive experience. Then they instructed one group to intentionally connect with a nearby stranger and the other group to remain disconnected. When the ride was over, they asked commuters how they felt about the train ride. Before the ride, people overwhelmingly predicted that talking to someone they didn't know would be a bad experience and that keeping to themselves would just be so much better. They were forecasting what would make them happy and what would make them miserable. Remember how I said we're not actually that great about knowing what we actually need. The actual experience, however, was the opposite of what they expected. When commuters were told to strike up a conversation, most had a positive experience and rated their commute way better than usual. And those who typically worked on the train reported the trip was no less productive when they talked to a stranger. There's a lot of research like this suggesting human beings are bad at effective forecasting, not just in short-term situations like the train, but in the long term too. We seem particularly bad at forecasting the benefits of relationships. A big part of this is the obvious fact that relationships can be messy and unpredictable. This messiness is some of what prompts many of us to prefer being alone. It's not just that we're seeking solitude. And here's the key. It's that we want to avoid the potential mess of connecting with others. But we overestimate the mess and underestimate the beneficial effects of human connection. This is a feature of our decision-making in general. We pay a lot of attention to the potential costs. So in our case, when we're talking about being bold, taking up space, being seen, and using your voice, what are the potential costs? Judgment, failure, looking stupid, not saying the right thing. So we pay a lot of attention to the potential costs and downplay or dismiss the potential benefits. So isn't that so interesting? We avoid the things that we think that make us feel bad and pursue the things that we think will make us feel good. But actually, we don't know. We're not good at figuring that out. Because as you see in the study, being bold, taking up space, using our voice, talking to a stranger actually produced a great result for us. However, our mind was so conditioned to think that it was going to be negative. We're more conditioned to not take action, to not be seen, to not be bold, to not take up space. And now, while this is just one example, we can use this in so many different aspects of our life. Speaking vulnerably, sharing something from your heart, being the first to speak up in a meeting, asking for what you truly want or desire out of your relationship, setting a boundary with a friend or family member, showing up more often and authentically with what you really want to post on social media or write in that email campaign. Because here's the thing. If you have something genuine to say, there's genuinely someone out there that needs to hear it. And again, the greatest disservice that you are doing is not using your God-given gifts and talents because you're allowing your fear-based, ego self-limiting beliefs to hold you back, but no more. This is the year that we are claiming that not only are we going to be seen and take up space, but we are going to be bold and we are going to do it consistently. And even if we get some negative feedback, or maybe here's the thing that I used to do, I would get no feedback. And so I would stop. Like I would get no likes, no comments, no responses to my emails, no signups right away for my programs. And so I would think that that would mean, oh, nobody wants this information. No, that's not what it's about. It's about consistency and keep going and keep sharing the information. Sometimes people have to hear things up to 8 times in order for it to really sink in. And so if you know on your heart, there's a gift, there's something inside of you that you are meant to share, share it. This is going to be a catalyst for you. This is going to change things for you. And when you show up authentically in your light, not only does it connect other amazing humans to you, but it authentically empowers and gives others to show up in theirs. So that's it for part 2. This year, not only are we going to be present as fuck, right? That's what we talked about in part 1. Well, I don't know if I use those terms. That's what I'm calling it now. But part 2 is all about being seen, using your voice, authentically showing up, being bold, and taking up space. And if you want to get started on this right away and you are just scared shitless, get out your journal, start free writing, write down your ideas, write down whatever comes up, and then little by little, day by day, step by step, inch by inch, start sharing some of that. Okay, That's it. Stay happy, stay healthy. And like I said last episode, like get out there and have some fun. Don't take yourself so seriously. Let's try on this affirmation this week. Life is fun and easy. Right? Life is fun and easy, and I enjoy every day. I enjoy each moment. Life is fun and easy, and I enjoy each moment of my day. That's it right there. Okay. Send that back to me in a DM so I know you heard this. Okay. I'll see you next week.